Hey, Newsa-Cast listeners, you can find every episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Please help us grow by subscribing or sharing the Newsa-Cast with friends, or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Now let's get this show on the road.
But if we can influence kids and their families early on, doesn't matter to us whether they play well or they play forever. We just want them to play, that every kid at least has the opportunity.
Welcome to the Newsa-Cast. What is a Newsa-Cast? It's where we bring local folk stories to life through conversation.
Hello, Newsa-Cast listeners. We welcome you back to another amazing episode of this podcast. You are hopefully tuned into all of our episodes as we approach episode number 12.
We're in episode 12, Tosh, and of course, everybody that's listening to this has hit like and has hit subscribe, right? Cheap plug right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've gone to all their, if you subscribe, you get this. You don't even have to think about it. Boom, there it is.
Right.
So that's what you want. That's what we want you to do as well. We got some content now. We got 12 episodes in. If you're a first-time listener, you want to go back and listen to some of the amazing episodes and stories that we have of these athletes. And I do want to mention something right away, too. I haven't been able to talk to Maddie yet, but reading the USA Rowing website, it looks like the women's four qualified for Paris.
Yes, Maddie Wanamaker. Absolutely. We had her a few episodes back on the four. I already forgot the name, Tosh. It's the four-person rowboat.
The women's force.
There we go. Completely butchered that, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, we hope that once things settle down, Worlds just ended, and I'm sure there'll be some training and stuff here, but maybe we can get Maddie back on to talk a little bit about that experience and what the preparation is going to be like coming into the Olympics. She was in the Tokyo Olympics during COVID, which is a whole different experience. This year is going to be in Paris. I'm very excited for her parents to be able to head to Paris and see her in person as well. Shout out to Tom Wanamaker, former colleague of mine. But yeah, amazing. It's really, really cool. Looking forward to possibly talking with her. And
that's absolutely really cool. It's one of the coolest things about this podcast, isn't it, Tosh? That everybody that we talk to is lives in our own backyard. They're from northeastern Wisconsin, and to see, what Maddie's doing, and we're going to have to catch back up with, CJ Ike, our very first hockey. CJ. He was episode number 1. CJ just took another job. He's going to be an assistant coach down in Waterloo, so we're super excited for CJ. And then, of course, the Armstrongs too. I mean, they're getting ready to curl as well, and I think we're going to try to get those guys back on as well for a quick update as well. So
yeah, and if you enjoyed CJ's team plays against the Gamblers in Green Bay. So in February, can't remember the exact dates. I think it's like the 16th, 17th, somewhere in there. Waterloo will be playing the Green Bay Gamblers up at the Rush Center. Yes. So you get a chance to see CJ on the bench, be an assistant for this team.
Respectfully boo CJ and go out and have a beer with him after, right?
Yeah, you know what? And again, all of this comes up with, it's a story. We're telling stories about people in the Fox Cities. And this episode that we have coming up is telling a story as well. And it's a story of local sports and youth sports with two amazing individuals, Joe.
Absolutely, Tash. It's really the beginning of the story in a sense. It's the beginning of a sports story. I mean, like you said, everybody that we've talked to in the Newsa-Cast has a fantastic story. Yes, it's revolved around sports, but it's revolved around life and all the lessons that we've learned through sports and through life. And what Matt Haken from the Fox Cities Convention Bureau, the director of sports marketing with that group, and then Paul McCann, who is a part of our group. I mean, he's the president of Newsa, who this very podcast is named after, Newsa, and the Red Smith Banquet. Paul is the chairman of the Red Smith Banquet. And as you'll come to find out, he's president of a lot of other groups, amazing groups that you'll find out through the interview. But the moral of the story is that they're looking for opportunities to give kids, whether it's through granting, whether it's just through information through the Discovery Night that's at Tuesday night, this Tuesday, September 26th at the Champion Center from 5 to 8. It's a chance for all these sports to get together under one roof and to have families go out there and ask questions and to explore and to try some different sports and to understand, maybe you've never heard of lacrosse before. And Appleton Lacrosse is going to be out there and you'll be able to hold a stick and see what that great sport is about, or volleyball or hockey, or even a sports official, right, Tosh? This is an officials podcast from time to time. The Stripes are going to be out there as well. So you don't necessarily have to play as well. And as we'll come to find out, Paul, he's going to talk to us about the Every Kid Plays grant. We want every kid that we don't want money to stand in the way. We want these kids to at least try sports and to just be surrounded by great people. It's incredible the kindness that we have in this area.
Yeah, like Paul's grant, like the grant that Paul talks about, the Every Kid Plays grant. It gives kids an opportunity to play a sport. Trying to get them in elementary school and middle school, to be able to try different sports, and maybe that could lead into playing in high school. But that Every Kid's Play grant is amazing. Matt's talking about the Sports Discovery Night. Again, just going off of what Joe said, it's at the Champion Center. First of all, you get to go to the Champion Center. If you haven't been to the Champion Center, it is a crown jewel in the Fox Cities. Amazing facility. But there's going to be over 30 different groups that are represented at this event where you can sit and talk. And if you have your son or your daughter has an interest in a sport, maybe it's dance, maybe it's lacrosse, maybe it's hockey, maybe it's, you name it, of all the groups that are there, you can talk to those groups and get some information and see if it's something that you want. And you also be able to talk to Paul about the Every Kid Plays grant as well.
No, absolutely. We talk about in the interview, Tasha, if nothing else, just go walk out at the Champion Center. Like you said, the building's incredible. It's kind of, it's easy to miss. The parking lot's sort of set back. So you might not even know that it's there, but holy cow, once you get there, this facility is unbelievable for this area. And like Matt will talk about, it's filled on the weekends. It draws a lot of tourism to this area. It's an incredible facility.
Absolutely. Joe, got to talk about something though. This past weekend, one of the big events in the Fox Cities happened as well.
Yes. And
that's the Fox Cities Marathon. And I always remember that it goes right by my house down Coop Road. So we always have a little trouble getting around for the first hours of the morning on that Sunday of the race, because the main marathon cuts off at Tallulah. Down Tallulah, the half marathon goes, and then the main marathon comes all the way down Midway to Coop Road, and then cuts down north on Coop Road, which is literally a stone's throw away from my house.
No, that's awesome. There's another great event in this area. It's a full-fledged marathon. I happened to have to work on Sunday, so I saw all the cones up and the path through Jackson Street in Appleton and the south side of Appleton. It runs through there. It hits all the communities. I do have to have a shout out though to one of my work colleagues and friend of mine. Linnea ran in the Fox Cities Marathon. She completed it and she was pretty excited. So I was was happy to hear that's more than I can do. I'll tell you that.
That's incredible. I did the half marathon one year. This was probably 20 years ago, but I did the half marathon one year, and that was enough for me. One time, one and done. I'm done. So, great event, great for the community. Lots of stuff going on. I mean, that's an event that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there's stuff going on here in this community. So
it's an amazing community.
Really good event.
Yes, it absolutely is. It's incredible people that put these events on, and well, we've said it before, we're super lucky to be living here, and hopefully the Newsa-Cast can kind of expose some of those people and give them well-deserved shout outs.
You got anything else, Joe, to talk about before we kick off the show?
Well, I'm excited to get the show started, Tosh. I know we're plugging along here with high school football. There's still some great, a lot of good matchups here in week. What are we in week 5? No, week 6. Week 6. Holy cows! Yeah,
Week
it's plugging
6.
along, and volleyball, like we talked last week with Paul Lecker with the Appleton Sports page. Definitely give that a follow. But continuing off that conversation, I mean, all of these sports are in full swing, and like we mentioned last week, a lot of the Appleton schools are competing at a high level and in the hunt for tournament play for sure. And state championships are not out of the question for some of these teams, both on the girls and boys side.
Yeah. And I do want to shout out Appleton East. This Friday is their East Tackles Cancer event. All the proceeds and profits go to the Susan B. Komen Foundation for breast cancer. It's a great event. There's fireworks after. It's really cool. So you get to see some good high school football. I believe I can't remember who they're playing off the top of my head. I should, but there's raffles, there's baskets. I know my science department put a basket together for it. So come on out to Appleton East on Friday nights. Watch some high school football and support survivors and people who have cancer currently, and help East tackle cancer.
No, that's a great cause, Tosh. And we've talked about this in previous podcasts where you just see the lights on Friday night, just go check it out because it's going to be a good football game. That's even more so in situations like this when schools put on cancer benefits and especially Appleton East. It's a different feeling. The buzz in the air, whether it's the pink socks or there's the special towels that they wear, whatever the case might be, everybody gets behind it, and you can just feel that buzz. It's an extra special atmosphere, and it's a lot of fun, and it really goes to a great cause and brings awareness to a much needed cause as well.
Yeah, let's get this show going, and hope you enjoy. Remember, anytime you can check this podcast out, whatever social media you look at, wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Spotify, whether it's iTunes, hit subscribe, help us grow the show, help us tell the stories that we're trying to tell. We appreciate it. And don't forget, you can always check out the throwbacks on YouTube and check out some of those full-length interviews from the Red Smith Banquet.
Absolutely. Exactly what Tosh said. Do that and enjoy the show.
Hello, Newsa-Cast listeners. It's time for that look at history, our old look at new. It could be the nation. It could be Northeast Wisconsin. It could be Wisconsin. Who knows what we pull out of the air for this week. And we'll see what... I'm going to let Joe go first this week.
Yeah, we're taking a look at Wisconsin. We're taking a look at our own backyard, and we're actually continuing a little bit of the theme that started last week, where we talked about Green Bay being the oldest city in Wisconsin, which kind of surprised me. And if you flow, well, I guess it would be upstream the Fox River towards Lake Winnebago, you'll come across Kaukauna. And the mansion is still there. And Tosh, you're going to have to help me with the pronunciation because I'm reading it as Grignon, but I've heard it pronounced other ways. But the Grignon mansion, that beautiful white home that's right down in the bottom of the hill in Kaukauna, kind of near Tilmany Paper Mill. There's a fantastic disc golf course that kind of wraps around there and some soccer fields. But that house has a really, really interesting history to it, dating all the way back to, well, to be honest with you, Augusta Grignon, is that, how do you pronounce it?
I think that's right. I could be wrong, but
we're going to go with that one. Come to find out, Augustine was the first man of European ancestry born from European ancestry. He was the first European-born ancestor in Wisconsin. I thought that was kind of interesting. He was the last French-Canadian fur trader in the Fox Valley, and he became the first person to use the water, the Fox River, for power, for purposes of industry. He actually opened up a sawmill right where that house stands right now, and that's where he became known as the Valley's first real entrepreneur, which I thought was pretty interesting.
That is, absolutely.
Yeah. So his business, that house, was a trading post. It was a mill. It was a sawmill until 1816, and it was powered by the Fox River. Yeah,
Wow.
it has a long history. More than 200 years now. I thought it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
One sad fact that I found. So they always called it the mansion in the woods. And if you go there now, you definitely see some trees, but there's a lot of trees that aren't there anymore. And back in the mid 1800s, up until the 1960s, that was surrounded by elm trees, and the Dutch elm disease pretty much wiped them all out. So that was, and I remember that same thing happened at like Herb Park and some of the old parks around here. And
absolutely,
you forget about that, but that disease was devastating to the trees around here, and particularly that piece of land. So,
yeah, well, that Dutch elm disease pretty much wiped out all elm trees. We actually have an elm tree in our backyard yet.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's kind of crazy, but similar situation to what the emerald ash borer is doing to ash trees right now. So, but I remember seeing pictures of elm trees, and they would just form canopies over the roads.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that as well. But the Grignon Mansion, it's open for tours. You'll have to check the website. I'm not sure when it's available, but they were actually, I did the Bike to the Beat during Mile of Music. They were one of the stops with music right in front of there. Okay. So it's a pretty cool place. If you're out on a bike ride or just for a walk in Kaukauna, stop on by. There's still a few trees there that are shaded, and it's a cool old house.
Very nice. Well, speaking of old houses, I have an old look at new, and my old house is a little bit different. My old house is the house that Ruth built. And in 2008, September 21st was the last game that played in the house that Ruth built, the old Yankee Stadium. So that goes all the way back to 2008. They were just the last game at the old Yankee Stadium. And Derek Jeter was there playing, and they played the Baltimore Orioles, and they beat the Orioles 7-3 in that last game at Yankee Stadium.
Boy, what a stadium, what a history, and probably doesn't suck to be Babe Ruth, right, in the 1920s?
Yeah, no kidding. That doesn't suck to be a lot of Yankees coming through the years, right? Derek Jeter, Mickey Mantle, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself.
Yogi, right? Deja vu all over again.
Yogi. There's some classic Thurman Munson and Bucky Dent.
Oh, absolutely. Some classic games. Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
Well, Tony Kubek, who lives in Appleton. He played for the Yankees, of course. In our growing up years, we got a lot of play-by-play with Tony doing the NBC Game of the Week, Joe Garagiola, that whole crew. Absolutely. A lot of those games from Yankee Stadium. Yeah,
that was a stadium I wish I would have gotten to, and I never did. I wish I would have been there.
How many times do you think Billy Martin got tossed in that stadium?
Yeah, no kidding, right? He had some classic ejections.
Lou Piniella, right? Lou Piniella played third base for the Yankees for a while, right?
Yes,
so
he did.
Tosh and I, this always runs in my head, Tosh. You and I don't even know what year it was. You and I were at a Cubs game when Lou Piniella was the coach for the manager for the Cubs, and Lou had one of the all-time classic manager getting tossed, the slow walk out to the umpire, the animated arguing, the kicking of the dirt, the walk back to the dugout, the turn around and walk back to the umpire. Lou was an absolute master. Yep. You and I got to witness one of those meltdowns, and I'll never forget that.
Oh, yeah. That was Lou was something else, that's for sure.
The Grignon Mansion was built 100 years almost before Yankee Stadium, for a little perspective.
There you go. Well, great. That's a good look at history. Got it from both ends. We got the sports end and all the way to Yankee Stadium and a little bit closer to home as well. So hope you enjoyed that segment.
All right, Tosh, for our interview, I'm excited for this one. We are going to be talking with Matt Haken, Director of Sports Marketing for the Fox Cities Convention and Visitors Bureau, and Paul McCann, who is the president of Newsa. Yes, that Newsa. He's the chairman of the Red Smith Banquet, and he's also the president of the Fox Cities Sports Authority as well. So Paul wears a lot of hats, but we're really here to talk about a really special night. It's Sports Discovery Night. It's Tuesday, September 26th at the Community First Champions Center. It's out as you're heading out to Greenville, just west of Fox City Stadium on the west side of Appleton and Grand Chute. And Sports Discovery Night, you can get more information by going to the Fox Cities Convention and Visitors Bureau website and check out kind of what groups are there, but it's a chance for you to come and explore all the different sports, all the different groups from soccer, lacrosse, football, whoever. They're going to be there. And for those 3 hours, you get to go to the Champion Center and just ask as many questions as you want. And Paul McCann is also going to be talking about the Every Kid Plays grant. And that's a grant that was started through the Red Smith Banquet. You can get more information by going to redsmith.org. The grant processing is located on that website, but the message with that one is we don't want any kid left behind. So if you want to play baseball and for some reason it's just not financially feasible for you to do that, we have a way to solve that problem, and nobody needs to know. You can just go play baseball. So check out both of the websites. Community First Champion Center, Tuesday, September 26th, 5 to 8. Tosh, we've got a great set of guys with us today. I'm happy to have you guys here and excited to just see where this conversation goes. So welcome, guys.
Thank you, Joe.
Matt, we'll talk about a lot of things, but one of the things is youth sports, and Tosh and I have covered this a lot in the 12 episodes that we've had, but your involvement with the Champion Center, you guys have an exciting night coming up next Tuesday, the Sports Discovery Night, and it's a chance for I guess I'll let you explain it, but it's really a chance for kids to get out there and really just see what's offered to them, see what they're going to step their cleats into, so to speak, and really get a feel for what's offered out there. So if you could speak to that a little bit, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for. So, we have such a great sporting community here in the Fox Cities, and there's so many opportunities in a variety of sports for kids of all ages and adults to participate in sports. And I think, what I've come to hear often over my 13 years in this position is that families sometimes struggle to figure out what the first right opportunity is for their child and what the right sport is for their child, because there's so many opportunities and seasons overlap, and one friend's doing this, another friend's doing that. Like, what's the right sport for my kid? So I get the question a lot of what club or what team or what program a family should start their kid in. So that was kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to start Sports Discovery Night. So next Tuesday, September 26th, 5 to 8 p.m. at the Community First Champion Center, we're going to have 30 plus organizations that are going to be in attendance that will be there to answer those questions for families. So we'll be able to have families come in free of charge and walk around the building and talk to folks from basketball organizations, to volleyball, to hurling, to soccer, to baseball, you name it. We have almost every sport you can think of represented. And for those that aren't represented, myself, Abby McDaniel from our office, and a variety of others will be there to kind of help answer those questions and try to lead people in the right direction. And while families are there, while the kids are there, we're going to have some opportunities to participate in some sports and try their hand at ice skating. So we have a free open skate from 5 to 7 p.m. during the night. We'll have some basketball skills and drills put on by some of the local basketball folks, and then some volleyball skills and drills going on as well in the building. So we'll have a lot of activity going on that night. I think it's a great opportunity for families to really learn about all the opportunities that are available to them in the Fox Cities. And we just have a great sporting community. We have so many good things going for us. And if we can help families and kids get in the right activities that they can hopefully enjoy for many years and maybe for a lifetime.
Well, Matt, two groups that I'm very excited to have that you didn't mention. One is the sports officials are going to be represented, the fellows in stripes. And Paul, I know, is a former football official as well. And Paul, you're not going to be representing the officials, but you're going to be there on behalf of Red Smith and the Every Kid Plays grant. And while all these kids are trying to discover sports and what might work for them, obviously financial concerns for parents is always a concern and an issue. And Paul, I think you have a really awesome solution for that, and that's the Every Kid Plays grant.
Yeah, Joe, thanks for teeing that up, because the Red Smith Committee has struggled over the years to try to figure out the best way to distribute proceeds from banquets and other things that we do. And we've worked with Matt and his team in the past just to try to spitball ideas and brainstorm what might be best. So I think 2-3 years ago, there was probably a bit of an epiphany within our group where we said, rather than give $500 to an organization that might serve 100 kids, and so basically affect, $5 per kid, why don't we find the kids within the community who otherwise would not be able to afford to participate? Try to work with churches and youth groups and Boys and Girls Clubs and Big Brothers Big Sisters and all the different organizations that try and improve the lifestyle and quality of life for kids in our area, and find those kids who are not participating in sports because the financial aspects of it prohibit them from doing that, or their parents are reluctant because they're not aware of what the overall cost is. And all they really have are their peers who probably are sharing horror stories with, travel teams and all the different things. I think that's what Matt and his team are trying to do with the Discovery Night, is to get the facts in people's hands and show them what basketball might cost, or what Little League baseball might cost, or Pop Warner football. Mm-hmm. Red Smith has supported all those organizations over the years, and we'd like to find the kids in our community who are maybe on the sidelines unnecessarily because of economic issues. We have partnered with Shields in the past, and I think the model for this is that Red Smith will fund whatever the cost of registering would be. So if that's a $100 registration fee for 10 kids for a particular organization, we'll give that organization $1,000 so those kids don't have fees. And in addition to that, we will find entities, and Shields has done this for us to this point, where we'll also try to supplement their gear. Shields, for example, will give us a $100 gift card to give to that young athlete, and they'll be able to go into Shields like anybody else carrying a gift card. No stigma attached to it or anything. You just have a gift card where you can buy a new glove, buy some cleats, buy whatever it takes for you to participate in that sport.
And Paul, the process is an anonymous, right? I mean, so that the kid...
It is, Joe, right. It's an application process that we're hoping that the clubs themselves can help promote the process to get the kid the information it takes to apply. Nobody knows. Once you get placed on a team, there's nobody that says, "Oh, well, he's the kid that got, sponsored on the team." You're just you're on the team.
Yeah, and being an educator, being in high school, we see so many kids who don't have the opportunities through middle school, especially in the day and age of travel and club sports. And they just don't have the means. And by the time they get to high school, they're like, well, it's too late for me to play now because all my friends have played in middle school and elementary. And, for kids to be successful in school, they have to want to come. So this is a great opportunity for these kids to not only possibly be sponsored, but even to learn about the sports coming up on Tuesday with you guys.
Yeah, as a father of elementary school and middle school daughters, I see the value not only socially but athletically of participating in those sports. But it's sad to know that there are kids out there that aren't having those opportunities at younger ages. That's precluding them from having that impactful experience in high school that is so formative to so many kids. So if we can start those kids at a younger age with the work that Paul and his group is doing, and hopefully helping funnel those kids to the right programs, hopefully we can, just resolve some of those issues with some of the families and some of the kids in our community.
And Matt, the groups that are at the Discovery Night, the organizations, I mean, we're not talking about all travel teams, right? I mean, that's nothing that parents should be afraid of. It's everything from flag football to high level soccer, I would imagine.
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything. We'll have representation from the YMCA of the Fox Cities. We'll have a number of park and rec departments in attendance, to some travel teams. But a lot of those travel programs, they have recreational level play too, with just opportunities for kids, in the community that are just beginning to play a sport. So there is the whole range of sport, all seasons, and really something for everyone. So we're excited for people to come out and give it a see. And like I said, there'll be enough people in the building that are connected in the community to a variety of sports. If there's an organization or questions that you may be having that isn't represented by one of the organizations, someone in the building on that night will be able to help you out.
I think that's key, Joe, to just get people started at whatever level, wherever their comfort level is, get them started, get the kids involved. And I think as a parent of 3 daughters who went through different sports, the parents can throttle the involvement to the extent that the family can manage. And that's another thing that you need to learn. I mean, if nobody's really shown you the options, it's difficult for a parent to figure out that there is a YMCA program or a youth recreational department program that your child can play soccer in the fall and learn if that's something that they enjoy. And if that turns into, a Division I scholarship someday, Tosh, because they learn well enough to play high school and onward, terrific story. But, being on the sideline or just being dissuaded or discouraged from doing it, either for economic means or just fear of the unknown, is what both Matt and I are trying to work our way through so that parents don't have those roadblocks.
One of the interesting things we've learned through our interviews on the Newsa-Cast is every one of the athletes that we interviewed, and a lot of these folks have played professionally or at the top of their game, they have all played multiple sports. They all played soccer. They all played basketball. They all played football, whatever the case is. They played 3-4 different sports and started at a young age. I mean, and they all started at this exact age, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. And we may have lost that a little bit. It's been, Tosh and I have used this word a few times, refreshing. It's been kind of refreshing to hear that from the different athletes, that's still a thing.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of misperceptions too. It's easy to hear from a neighbor who says one thing and you take that as gospel, but really hearing from the voice of people who are involved in whatever organization or whatever sport is directly of how things operate. And not every sport is 12 months of the year for an 8-year-old playing a sport. There's a lot of opportunities for a really good experience in an 8-week session or a 12-week session for kids to really learn the core of the sport, meet some really good friends, decide if it's their sport or not, and then do it maybe again the next season and keep on growing. So there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of different levels in the Fox Cities that we just need to share that message to as many folks as possible and kind of dispel some of those false rumors that maybe sometimes go on in the community.
Yeah, I think you're right, because a lot of the time you hear even parents say, man, I didn't know that sport was around when I was little. Well, yeah, it was around. It's been around for 100 years, but they didn't have the knowledge of how to get involved with it. And I think this event is, I think it's awesome. I really do. Being involved with hockey, being involved with lacrosse, and it's an awesome way to get people in the door and see all of the different things that their kids can do. And maybe they're going to click on something at your event that's going to allow them to be part of a team and grow socially all the way through high school and beyond.
All while playing lacrosse, right, Tosh?
Well, and that's what I think that's what we're hoping for with especially our grants program. When you think over the years, Joe, of the people who came to the Red Smith Banquet, you think of a Jackie Joyner-Kersee, right? The best female athlete of all time, was scholarshiped, basically, was helped through the process of getting involved in sports early on. And, Julius Erving told similar stories of people helped him. He loved sports. Wasn't sure he would, Bill Walton talked about that, right? Fell in love with sports before he fell in love with basketball.
Leroy Butler. It's a common theme.
Yeah. And so, we're searching for the kids from 5 years old through probably 8th grade, right? We can scholarship those kids. The NCAA does not allow us to do anything for 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Right. Because that's still a conflict for them. But if we can influence kids and their families at those formative years early on in middle school and elementary school, and get them on board. And doesn't matter to us whether they play well or they play forever. We just want them to play, and we want them to our whole idea of Red Smith grant every kid plays is just that every kid at least has the opportunity and has whatever financial restrictions removed. Matt will give them the access. We'll try to give them a boost, and we're going to create an environment here that even to me, it sounds fantastic that we could improve the sports environment in the Fox Cities because, it's already outstanding.
And I think even going beyond that, if you get these kids involved in something at that age, they're going to develop friends, and they might find a reason. I mean, in the news, we've heard about the attendance issues in Appleton, and as far as the high schools and middle schools. But if they have a group of friends and they want to come to school, those attendance issues are going to go away as well because they're part of something. And even if they don't continue to play, they still made those connections with friends at that young age.
Absolutely. There's tons of studies that show that student athletes perform better in school while they're in season, when they're out of season. So, if we can get those, high school students to be one or two sport athletes, hopefully that helps some of those challenges that we're facing right now.
So Matt, developing the Discovery Night is just one of many things that you do. I've always thought you have one of the coolest jobs in the Fox Valley. You're promoting sports in the Fox Valley. Can you kind of explain what your job is? Because it is a really neat job. I mean, your job is to bring sports to this area.
Yeah, it's kind of a bigger version of Sports Discovery Night. So it's really just connecting the dots. So let's try to figure out the right event to host in the community, the right organization to organize that event, and where we're going to play it, when we're going to play it. So we will host about 240 events a year that bring visitors to the Fox Cities. Leads to a little over $10 million of direct visitor spending, so dollars coming out of visitors' pockets into businesses in the community. So we're hustling every day to try to find the next right event to create or lure into the Fox Cities. So we work with organizations to create a event that makes sense for their organization. It can oftentimes be a fundraiser for their organization. Then we also are trying to sell the Fox Cities as a destination for a state, a regional, national, international championship type event. The most recent story that we can share of, kind of a success story, and that is the World Axe and Knife Throwing Championship. Just a fun story to tell that, we hosted 700 axe and knife throwers in downtown Appleton last December for a world championship that was broadcast on ESPN. So we had to sell the group that organized that event that Appleton is the right fit for this event. It's awesome downtown, beautiful hotel attached to a brand new exhibition center. And then we put all the pieces together with a ton of volunteers locally and, a lot of great business support to host an awesome event. They loved it. We had throwers from 36 states, 6 countries come to town last year. It was on ESPN, which was really fun. And it went over so well that they came back to us earlier this year and said, hey, we really enjoyed Appleton so much. Do you think we could come back for the U.S. Championship again this year? We're like, yeah, come on down. Wow. Well, we'd love to have you. So we're hosting.
When is that?
We're hosting the U.S. Pro-Am Championship the second week in November 9th through 12th, the Fox Cities Exhibition Center. So we'll have a bunch of axe throwing friends coming back to town, and they certainly enjoyed spotted cow and cheese curds throughout the Fox Cities. I don't know if there was any left by the time Sunday afternoon rolled around. So that's just one kind of non-youth sports story of what we do. But you name a sport, we do it. We try to host great events here, and we set up just a great community for hosting youth sporting events. Really, our bread and butter, probably 90% of what we do is youth team sports. So more months it's the soccer, baseball, softball events. In colder months, it's usually the basketball, volleyball, hockey events that are filling up our schedule. But we do literally any type of competition, and try to bring those families, those athletes to town to experience all that we have here in our community, and to help our businesses and have an awesome competition.
What is it like? I mean, when you're going after these events, you have lots of different cities, I assume, that are trying to get it at the same time. So how does that competition fuel you, and how do you make Appleton attractive?
Yeah, physically, I'm not the athlete I was years ago, so this is like my competition now. So I'm trying to win this business for our community, and really what we do when we sell the Fox Cities, the three things I always say is that we're safe, we're drivable, and we're affordable. We're a perfect family destination. If you want to come to play in a tournament Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll put us against anywhere in the country. And we have a track record of beating a lot of competition throughout the country. And the community itself is just perfect for a lot of youth sports, and all sports in general, but particularly youth sports. And then the second thing that is always key in our sales is our facilities. Our facilities definitely punch above our weight for many of the venues that we're hosting events at. And then our volunteer and local club and team base is so strong that there's just so many kids, so many teams, so many great youth sports leaders in our community that can be that either local host or kind of start with that initial team count for any event. So we really have a lot of good things going for us in terms of just the personalities, the teams involved in the Fox Cities that really make our tournament successful.
So Matt, what was your sport of choice back in the growing up days? What did you play?
I was always the tallest kid, so basketball naturally was my sport. I did play football, played baseball, and played golf. So up until I think freshman year, I was a 4-sport athlete, and then I dropped baseball, and then was a 3-sport athlete through high school.
Paul, I know before you were an official, and you play a little bit of golf, but what did you play in high school?
In high school, Joe, I didn't participate in the sports. Kind of fittingly, I was the guy whose parents couldn't afford to send them to any of the competitive sports. My dad was not working when I was in high school. And so, I got a job, and I worked at Kohl's, and, went to every event I could, every student athletic event I could, but I was really not able to participate. So when I finally got to college and got on my own, I played college soccer before it was popular. And actually played at UW-Fox Valley, and then played at Madison for, probably 5 weeks till I realized it was either going to be an engineer or a really poor soccer player. And I chose engineering. But no, not that my story is one that fits our grant program, Every Kid Plays, but, I have experience where, I try out for the team, and I get through the first 3 or 4 weeks and realize, okay, my parents can't pay for the physical that's required to, join the team. So I'd quit. And the coach would say, what the heck? Why are you quitting the team? I'd say, well, I got better things to do, And, great coping skills and great story making around, why I needed to stop participating. But it's just what it was when I was growing up. And I think there are kids like that today at younger ages that, we got to find them and we got to help them a little bit. And that's what our whole thing is about. And I think that's why Matt and his gang are building the facilities that we have in this area so that we don't leave people behind.
And Paul, I mean, you certainly are extremely successful, a wonderful family for sure, but you speak to exactly why the Every Kid Plays grant will be successful. I mean, it was because of that is why this grant was born. So it's definitely going to be successful just because of the passion behind it.
Yeah, I think so. In the day, Joe, the YMCA was a place where I hung out every day, right? I was a gym rat at the YMCA. Now, I didn't have a membership. Used to have to very cleverly sneak by Alice in the lower lobby and get through. And I tell this story every once in a while. I told it to United Way dinner one night. I got tapped on the shoulder one day when I'd snuck through, and it was Bob Brunken, was a director of the Y at the time. And Bob grabbed me and he said, "You can't do this. You can't sneak in here anymore." I was a 9th grader, 10th grader probably. And he said, "Tell you what, I'll give you a scholarship to the Y. I'll pay your membership. All you got to do is join the Leaders Club." And they had a Leaders Club that managed the concessions and stuff at the Den and the things that they had at the time, the youth programs that they had. So I went to Gil Bauer, who was the director there, and he put me to work. And I had a membership. I didn't have to sneak in anymore. But it kept me, as we've talked about, it was like a fork in the road, right? I had all kinds of other influences that could have taken me different directions. But Bob Brunken grabbing me out of the crowd and saying, "I'll help you," made a huge difference. And now the Y has a program, it's called a Strong Kids Campaign, and they try to fund people to allow them to have memberships, and a lot of generous people donate to that. Yeah. That's kind of the thing we want to mirror on the outside athletic participation side of things. We want to take what the Y does with Strong Kids and find the Big Brothers Big Sisters participants or the Boys and Girls Club participants that aren't finding their way to the sports programs, because it's immeasurable what they can do for you.
It's life-changing, without a doubt.
Right. It is, yeah.
Matt, Paul mentioned some of the facilities you built. One of the gems of the area is the Champion Center. Can you talk a little bit about how that was built and why that was built, and just the success and what's being played in there? I mean, that thing is packed on every weekend, just about, it seems.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the proudest professional accomplishments I've been involved with in my career. So it really started in 2013. I came into our executive director's office, Pam Seidel, and I said, "Look, if you want me to bring more events and more business to the Fox Cities, I need more facilities. We kind of are stuck, particularly in winter months, with what we could do at the time. Just not a lot of facility options to host more events. And our hotels have been saying for years that winter weekends are so slow, and they really relied on the bowling tournament." So, side note, we're hosting the Wisconsin State Bowling Open this the first half of 2024. Wisconsin has the largest state bowling tournament in the country by like 30%. So Wisconsin bowling is still a huge deal. And so we're hosting it for 16 weekends in a row at two of our bowling centers, Rolling Thunder and Super Bowl, in early 2024. So winter months had always been a struggle for our hotels, for our businesses, of bringing visitors to the area. So we started a 6-year process of doing feasibility studies and stakeholder groups of trying to figure out what we could do, how we could fund it, where would it be, what would it look like. And we were able to work through all those challenges. We were able to get room tax funding through 10 municipalities to help support the cause. So they raise hotel room tax 3%. So when you stay in a hotel in the Fox Cities, a percentage of your bill goes to help fund the exhibition center, the Champion Center, in addition to other things. But the Champion Center was built through hotel room tax. We opened in November of 2019, really with the goal of, on weekends, we need to host tournaments that are going to bring visitors to the area, fill our hotels that are paying the tax to build the building. And during the week, we know that we're really not going to, have visitors come in and play in tournaments, Sunday night through Thursday night. So let's open it up to as many community members to practice, have games, local games, camps, clinics, etc. And We worked through the challenges of 2020 and came out incredibly strong in 2021 and 22. And 23 will be our best year ever in terms of the Champion Center, in terms of sports tourism in the Fox Cities. The amount of demand that we've gotten from hockey, basketball, and volleyball organizations has been overwhelming, along with the Figure Skating Club. Really wish we had more space to allow more sports and more athletes to enjoy the facility, but the majority of the year, weeknights 4:30 to 9:30 are pretty much full. In 2022, we had 48 weekends of the year. So every weekend, basically, except for major holiday weekends, we had tournaments with visiting teams utilizing the facility. So it has exceeded all the projections that we had from our professional studies that were done in the mid 2015s or 2010s. So we're super proud of the performance of the facility, and we're excited to see where it goes and the possibility of expanding in the future to allow more teams to come in and play in tournaments and more kids to utilize the facility during the week.
Volleyball, is that overtaking basketball, would you say, as far as number of dates, or is basketball still king out there?
It's really seasonal. So it's really seasonal for us. So it's hard to compare, but volleyball is heavy November through mid-March, and then basketball is late March through July, and they don't really cross over that much. The community basketball teams are heavy in that core volleyball season, but we don't do a lot of the community basketball because their schools, by and large, have enough space for practices and games and tournaments. Club volleyball is incredibly strong for us in that November through March range, and then it's travel basketball in the March through July timeframe.
Tosh, I know you've spent a lot of time in that building with hockey.
Yeah, way too much. But yeah, your hockey facilities, I mean, what a blessing it was. My kids have played in the oldest rink in the Fox Valley at Tri-County. So whenever we get to come to the Champion Center, it's just an amazing facility. You guys have done a great job, and it's a crown jewel of this area for sure.
That's great to hear. When we went through the design process, and the folks at Myron were fantastic to work with, the folks at Performa, which is now EUA, our architect, and all our community stakeholders that gave us input on the design, we wanted to create something that would have just that reaction, that families would have a memorable experience there and want to come back, whether it's for weekday practices or for tournaments once or twice a year, that when they're there, they're having a unique experience that they can't get in other places in the state, within the region, within the country, and we would be on their calendar as much as possible.
Paul, I have a question for you. And it's not totally off topic because it's kind of a competition thing. You've always, since I've been coming to the Red Smith Banquet, you've always brought a high quality speakers, and not only high quality, but quality people as well. So your process of finding these speakers that come to the Red Smith is kind of like what we were talking about, the competition of bringing teams and organizations in. How was that for you?
Well, Tosh, it got harder and harder as the years went on, because the demands for these people to speak at different places and the amount of money people were willing to pay them to speak just made it difficult for us. We sometimes went through agents.
Okay.
And of course, the agent's goal is to get the most money as possible for their client, and so that never fit our profile very well.
Right.
But oftentimes there was a connection. You heard, I think in a previous Newsa-Cast, you heard Lynn Swan say, he represented Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yeah.
Well, I was the president of Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Fox Cities at the time. And it just, kind of is a nice connectivity there. We knew he was their national spokesperson. I asked them to chase him down, and that just worked. Yeah. We have there's a local family who knew Jackie Joyner Kersey and worked with her. Obviously Jerry Davis knew Bob Costas and was able to bring Bob in. There are often things just like that. Rolly Stevenson's brother is a friend of Mario Andretti. And so all of a sudden you just have these connections that work. But when you don't have the connections, and you can't get a Dick Bennett or another local person to come, because they know it's a good event, you have to hire somebody to find them for you. And we've had occasions when, the athlete gets paid a sizable amount of money and then finds when they get here, and a lot like what Matt was talking about, when people get here and they realize what's going on in Appleton, they are really impressed. And we've had athletes give money back to us that they were given a fee, and they said, "Look, I don't want to. I knew I take the fees because that's what my agent tells me to do, but I don't want your fee. What can I do, or can I give you half of it back because I've got some time that I have to cover or whatever." So, but the process, and Joel knows a lot about this. As it got more expensive and as it got more difficult, it got more and more difficult to get commitments early enough that we could take advantage of that commitment to sell tickets.
Okay.
Because you've got Bill Walton we were able to secure, but he was at kind of full price, and it was an expensive day for us. But even in previous years, when you get somebody who says that's 3 days out of my life that you're asking for, because we effectively asked them to come in Monday night, stay all day Tuesday into Tuesday evening, and then they really didn't fly out till Wednesday. So
sure.
In their mind, you're coming to, what'd your dad call it, applesauce, Wisconsin for 3 days, right? So, it just, Tosh, got harder and harder.
Okay.
And I think as ticket sales, as people, aged out on us, people that were buying tables for 45 years didn't buy tables on the 46th year, and things like that happened where the economics scale kind of tipped on us. We were still able to give money away in the last couple of years of a full-blown banquet. COVID kind of crushed us a little bit in that we had a virtual banquet. There was no revenue other than some sponsor revenue where sponsors stayed with us. But it is a tough formula. And this Newsa-Cast is one way where we're trying to get the word out around Noosa and the Red Smith history so that ideally we can rebuild an audience that will come to a future banquet when we get, Michael Jordan and others to show up. And I'm sure Matt would appreciate having Michael in town, and we'd have a few visitors come in. And
let's have a dual interview, Michael versus LeBron, and they can battle it out.
It sounds simple enough, right? Let's do that.
Yeah. We could take them out to the Champion Center and do a horse or something, right? Off the scoreboard, into the hockey rink, and then
we have to get Larry Bird in too and reenact the McDonald's commercial.
Yes. Only now it's going to be a TikTok, right? We'll all go viral.
Yeah, I guess so.
So Tosh, at the end of the day, it's you have to have somebody who knows somebody in order to really make the economics work out for an organization like ours. So anybody that knows Michael Jordan, give us a call.
Exactly.
And you mentioned Tosh, at the same time it was people of character. I mean, I know the ones that I worked hard to get here. I wanted to make sure that maybe it was somebody that people were just learning about or just getting to know. There were a couple of times, Joe, I'm trying to think through some of these, like Ed Netticombe.
Yes.
Right? Legendary track coach at the University of Wisconsin. People didn't know Ed Netticombe.
Right.
But if you put him on a program with two other Hall of Fame athletes, people will come and they'll hear about Ed Netticombe.
Yeah.
Or when we did Mike LeCrone, right, the Badger band director.
Right.
That wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but at the end of the night, everybody loved Mike LeCrone.
Right.
Well, and it speaks to our mission, really. I mean, obviously we give money away through grants and things like that, but it's really sports advancement, sports awareness. I mean, advancement comes with the awareness, telling the stories, introducing people to Ed and Eddie Coleman. I mean, they never would have known who that person is, and you're better for that. So that's really the mission of the Red Smith Banquet, the mission of the Newsa-Cast, to be honest with you, is just to get those stories out there and advance sports, because we've all talked about it. All four of us have talked about what a benefit it's been to us and in our lives. And there's just nothing better than sports.
Well, I think it's a great event. I'm really looking forward to seeing the grant program grow as well. Because as an educator, I think that's a huge need for a lot of the kids in our community. And this event's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing how these youth groups and groups connect and kids connect with them, and seeing like you said, it's tough to say you're going to grow sports in the Fox Cities, but to continue to grow sports in the Fox Cities, what a great idea.
Yeah, you never want that next Jackie Joyner Kersey not to have the opportunities to participate. So hopefully we can, get that next, boy or girl playing and get them on the right track. Yeah, we were planning out some pieces of the event today, and we're like, oh boy, are we going to have 50 or 5,000 people come through the door? We don't know what's going to happen. So it's a first time event. So we're excited. Hopefully we get a lot of families to come out to check out the event, and we can really have some great conversations and get people on that path to, discovering the sports that are going to be, their ticket to great experiences and great memories.
And Matt, I would encourage, even if you don't have kids yet that are that age, I would encourage everyone to take the opportunity to come out to the Champion Center that night and just catch the atmosphere, catch the fact that all those organizations, whether you're grandparents of kids who might become interested, or whether you're soon to be parents, whatever category you might be in, to see the Champion Center, because I've been out there a couple of times meeting with you guys to talk things through. Our group, Noosa, will have a table there. If you're interested in what we've talked about tonight, you certainly, can hear more about that. But I walked away. I didn't have much to do with the Champion Center until I went there as a guest. And I walked away so proud of the Fox Cities for pulling that together that I think everybody should have that experience. Get out there and see the place. You will walk out. First, you'd have to count the number of times you say, wow, when you walk through the building. And then when you walk out and you realize that was all done with local funds and a vision that has been executed to perfection.
Yeah.
I think I would encourage anybody who has the time Tuesday night to come out.
And that's a great point too, Paul, that while we're focusing, the evening's activities on young, students, every one of those organizations can use volunteers, right? Whether you're a coach, whether you're a concessions worker, whether you're lining fields, every organization can use good volunteers. And anyone can help out. And then that goes to Joe's point earlier that Fox Cities Officials Association will be there as well. And hopefully we can have some individuals who are looking to get on that path of becoming an official and have those conversations and get some folks started, because, without officials, there is no game. So we really want to have this as hopefully an opportunity to grow the base of officials in the Fox Cities as well.
And Matt, that's one of the most amazing things at the Champion Center is none of the fans yell at the officials. So you're in a safe place if you want to become an official.
That was part of the design as well, where you are, as a fan, a little bit farther away from the action than a typical gymnasium or ice rink. So it's a little bit harder for the officials to hear the chirping that sometimes may be going on.
That's why I officiate football and lacrosse, a lot of separation.
Yeah, there's a lot of complaint-absorbing acoustics on a football field.
Yes, absolutely. Those 8-lane tracks are kind of nice. But Matt, I wanted to ask you, just getting back to one quick question on the brainstorming end. I kind of know how we do it with Red Smith when we're trying to find talent, but you bring axe throwing in. Do you just What are your brainstorming sessions like? How do you go after axe throwing? How do you go after weightlifting? All the different groups that you've had here through the years. How do you find those ideas?
A variety of sources. I do go to about 5 or 6 trade shows a year where these organizations are attending, and we have more or less speed dates with them and try to figure out which organizations are a right fit for us. There are a number of online subscription models where organizations of different sports put their information on what they're looking for from a community and from a venue, and I can sift through those and try to find the right one. Some of it is just crazy brainstorming sessions, and then a lot of it honestly is finding the right local leader in that sport that is very passionate about whatever it is, and then pitching onto them and trying to work with them and create something, or have that individual or that organization be the entity that we are using as the one who's submitting a proposal to bring an event to town. So it's a variety of sources, and it always comes down to the people and the places, so the facilities and just the community. So if we don't have the bodies, if we don't have the structure, none of it ever happens. So we are just really fortunate that we have a lot of good stuff going for us here.
And one of the other things I really like that you guys do at the Convention Bureau, and I think we've all taken advantage of this, is I mean, you've put funding behind it, but you promote it. Things like the trail system that's all through the Fox Valley, the Eagle Days where you can come and watch, bald eagles hatch and things like that you never really think about when you're here. But I know I've certainly taken advantage of a lot of the biking trails, watch the eagles. I mean, it's really neat that kind of stuff that you do and expose.
Yeah, I can really take no credit for that. That was 1988, the founding of the Convention and Visitors Bureau here. The founders said, we're going to put 25% of our operating budget aside just for grants for facilities and attractions in the Fox cities. We're going to help grow what we have, as a tourist destination. And I think now the grant program has given over $9 or $10 million to projects in the community. So a lot of it is parks that we utilize for sporting events, the great trail system we have here, Fox City Stadium, the Performing Arts Center, you name it. I think every one of the communities in the Fox cities has benefited from that program, and hopefully more great things are to come. So yeah, we're just really got a lot of great minds and a lot of great initiatives in the Fox cities to really just make this an awesome place to live or visit.
That's really neat. You actually triggered something when you mentioned Fox Cities Stadium. And Paul, you certainly have a special tie with Fox City Stadium, being the president of the Sports Authority, and that maybe is a whole nother podcast to get into that. But I mean, you guys give a substantial amount of money as well to some projects around the area that quite frankly, nobody even knows about. Yeah,
the Sports Authority was an original entity that funded the stadium or figured out how to get the stadium built. Mike Reese and Stan Bayman and Jim Riedel and a bunch of guys raised money so that the stadium could be built under a 501c3 organization, Fox Cities Amateur Sports Authority. One of the aspects of that 501c3 was that 5% of the asset value needed to be given away every year. So the Timber Rattlers, the Appleton Baseball Club was the tenant, and we were property owners, and we charged rent, and we had an asset value some years. I mean, it was $6.5 million. So we were giving away over $300,000 a year in grants that either organizations that Matt had come forward with, or the community foundation came forward with, or we found ourselves that needed funding. So a lot of the scoreboards in the area, a lot of lights in local fields, a lot of other great community projects were boosted up by the funds that came out of the proceeds of the stadium funding originally. Now we have sold the stadium. The Sports Authority has sold the stadium to Craig Dickman and his group that bought the Appleton Baseball Club. And they've done a fine job the last couple of years. We did this is a COVID kind of effort. And they bought the stadium. They've done a great job as caretakers of the ball club and the stadium. And you saw the big expansion that they did this season. But we still maintain those, the assets from that sale, the proceeds from that sale in a fund that we manage. And we still have grants that we give away based on the value of the fund. So yeah, Joe, that's another kind of a quiet gem within the Fox Cities of resources that are available. Now, Matt and I have talked about with the advancement of the Champion Center, they're looking to expand some or hoping to expand some, and maybe there's a good relationship to develop there between the Sports Authority and the Champion Center, and take the vision of the founding members of the stadium group, the Mike Reeses and Stan Baymans, and help boost along some of the efforts that the Champion Center has put forward. So that's to be determined. We'll see how that goes down the line.
Matt, in a perfect world, what would you like to see out at the Champion Center? What you just need to basically double the size, more or less, or?
Yeah, we always had land set aside for expansion in the future, just to see how things went in the initial years. And, like I said, we've far exceeded our expectations in terms of the performance of the facility. Right now, I think we're eyeing expanding the court space just because we know we have a lot of built up demand on the volleyball and basketball side of things. And that's kind of what we're looking at right now. That may change in the coming years, but we hope in the near future that we have the supporters like Paul's groups and others to be able to do something even bigger out there.
Yeah, to Paul's point, Tuesday night, just if nothing else, just go walk around. It's quite the building.
The popcorn will be popping.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys a lot. I mean, this is incredible to be able to hear your stories and talk a little bit about the sporting community here in Appleton. And, thank you guys for your time.
Yeah, this was awesome.
It was great.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is great. I really appreciate talking to you guys.
We want to thank Matt and Paul for spending some time with us. Really, again, Sports Discovery Night, Tuesday the 26th, 5 to 8 at the Champion Center, right out by the mall. I encourage you, Joe encourages you, Matt and Paul obviously encourage you as well to go check out this event. Over 30 different sports and local organizations will be there to basically help you get a better understanding of what we offer here in the Fox Cities and to get involved. So please check that out. Go to the Fox Cities Convention Bureau website, and you can check a little bit more out about that Sports Discovery Night. And redsmith.org also has more information on the Every Kid Plays grants. All right, Newsa-Cast, here's that segment. What are you forgotten and what are you never forgetting? And we play around with this and we try to have some fun with it. Sometimes it's personal. Sometimes it's a little historical side. But Joe, I'm going to let you run with it this time and see what you have to say.
Well, mine, Tosh, I think is going to lead to, I guess, more of a question for you. So I'm forgotten, or maybe the public has forgotten, and I see it play out at my work all the time, and it's holding the door open. A lot of people now don't hold the door for people, but there's a little bit of a fine line, and it's funny. So I worked Saturday, and there's a door at the post office that we're pushing carts in and out, and you find yourself that there's kind of a zone in there. And my question for you, Tosh, is How long do you hold the door open? Like, what's the appropriate amount? If somebody's 20 feet away walking towards the door, do you hold it? There is a little bit of awkwardness if you actually are holding the door open for too long. You feel a bit like, oh my God, I'm holding this door open way too long. So I don't know. In your opinion, do we have is there kind of a magic number? What is the right mannerism for that?
If someone is behind me, I always hold the door. It doesn't matter if I see them and they're like a quarter of the way in the parking lot. I'll sit there and wait. It leads to conversation in the morning, or leads to some conversation. So I'm a big believer in holding the door open, no matter what the distance is. If they're coming towards you, relatively speaking, I hold the door for people.
Is a general rule. I think I do as well, and I like that, and I think that's sort of a forgotten art. It's almost to the point now where I'm surprised when somebody holds the door open for me, and it never used to be. It used to be vice versa.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that, 100%.
Well, so that's my forgotten, maybe a little bit of society forgotten manners. And what about you, Tosh? What's forgotten in your world?
Well, I want to forget these incredible allergies I get every fall.
Yeah, you're sounding like it.
They kick my ass in the fall. I can be good all year, all spring, all summer. Whatever comes out in the fall, I think it's ragweed or something. It kills me in the fall. And I always used to joke that I'm allergic to school, and that's what it is. But it's definitely not school. It's something I used to remember. I don't know. I think it's ragweed at this time of year, but the pollen rates are super high. I struggle in the fall.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
I have allergies myself, not quite as bad, I don't think, as you. And I know you walk around feeling like your face is a big puffy marshmallow all day.
Yeah, it's you feel like there's sandpaper in your corneas and just eyelids scratch across it every single time. And yeah, it's tough, but oh well, that's what they make medication.
Yes, I agree.
For.
Well, good luck to you, Tosh. I know that stinks, and I feel for you.
All right, Joe. Well, what are you never forgetting?
Well, Tosh, I'm reminded. I think I've used this one maybe in the past, but it dawned on me again yesterday. We're recording this on a Monday night, and I had a work Sunday, and of course the Packers played on Sunday, but it got me to go back to my roots, and that's to listen to the Packers on the radio. And every time I do that, I don't do it enough anymore, but I'm never forgetting that feeling of just listening to. I love the Packer game on the radio. Of course, the Brewery game, there's nobody better than Euchre for sure.
Yep.
But a Packer game on the radio, I do like Wayne Larrivee. Larry McCann is Larry. I, of course, grew up, Jim Rowan, Max McGee. Those two nobody was better than those two, in my opinion. And even back in Lombardi's years, caught a very, very end of Ray Scott. So a great play-by-play. Sure. I missed that. I actually really, really enjoyed listening. Maybe didn't enjoy the outcome so much, but really enjoyed just listening to the football game on radio. It's a little nostalgic, and I'm never forgetting that feeling. I love it. It's a part of me.
A good play-by-play announcer is incredible. How they can put the image in your mind from what they're saying as what they see through their eyes is pretty. That's a talent.
It is. It's a talent. Sure. It's an art, and they become. And we've seen it with Bob Euchre. I mean, I've said this often that the saddest day to me in Wisconsin history is going to be the day that Euchre hangs it up or passes on. I mean, he has been. Literally, he has been calling Brewer games my whole entire life. I mean, he is a part of our life.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. I mean,
Absolutely.
Vin Scully. I mean, look at him and a Dodger fan. I mean, if you're a Dodger fan,
right.
Vin Scully is just, that's that voice. That's the Dodger voice.
That's the guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Bob Euchre, great book, Catcher in the Rye. Not that Catcher in the Rye, but Catcher in the Rye. Fantastic book. I remember reading that when I was young. It was awesome.
Absolutely. Nobody better.
All right. Well, my never forgetting. I had the opportunity. We, our friends have a little drinks in the driveway, they call it. They usually do it about once a month. They used to do it like every Friday or Saturday. And they just get people together, they cook out, and people sit and talk. And their son, James, was home. And James just spent 3 days out, a weekend out in Seattle area, seeing Dave Matthews at the Gorge.
Oh, did he really?
And so I sat and talked the playlist, talked the songs he played, and just talked about the whole experience. And it kind of got me thinking about when I first listened to Dave, ants marching, and Satellite was that first song that kind of hooked me on Dave from, some of his first stuff. And, Dave's been around for
30 years.
30 some years now. Yeah. So it kind of got me, you go back and listen to him live, man, he's a guy, you don't want to forget that band. They're amazing.
Tosh, it's funny you bring that up. It's such good timing. I mean, obviously at the post office, I have so much time to listen to whatever I want. And I've really, really been going back and listening to so much of Dave. He's just incredible. Tosh gave me you talk about Satellite. I certainly remember that song. The Red Rocks show and the show at I don't even know where it was in Chicago, but it was an orange disc. And I must have played that till I burned a hole in it. Those two shows were just absolutely epic and so many good songs. Yeah, Dave is one of the all-time great live show. I mean, I just love Dave Matthews, man. It's a really, really good pick for sure.
He did some really cool stuff during COVID when it first hit, some Zoom stuff, but just him and his guitar as well. It was fantastic stuff.
Yeah, some of the best stuff. Him and Tim Reynolds, when they get together and just go acoustic. His Radio City Music Hall show is out there. That's great. Yeah, look him up on Spotify and just get lost in Dave Matthews. And there's nobody with a better voice and quirkiness and just the banter, the Dave babble. You gotta love it.
Yeah, good shows, good people. Absolutely not forgetting Dave. Yeah, so get out and see him if you have a chance. And you haven't seen him, it's worth the trip.
Absolutely.
All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, this is time for our throwback segment of the podcast. And we're rolling all the way back to 1996 this year, Joe.
Great year.
With Robin
Yes,
Yount.
Rockin' Robin.
Yeah.
96, by the way, Tosh.
Rockin' Robin.
Yes, Rockin' Robin and 96 was a fantastic year. Love that year.
Yeah, if you think about two Brewer players that you grew up watching, Robin Yount and Paul Molitor.
Yeah, without a doubt. Number 19, Robin Yount. I mean, he started in the big leagues at 18. I mean, that doesn't happen too often, even in this day. There's a couple of guys that have done it, but yeah, he came up as a shortstop. Won an MVP at shortstop, won an MVP at center field. Yeah, what an athlete. And that guy still looks fantastic. He looks like he can play right now, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, he does. I've seen him in a couple of interviews. I think he is a part owner of the Lakeshore Chinooks, which is a wood bat team, college team that plays down in McCann. And he comes on some of those interviews with the Brewers and stuff, and he still looks fantastic. Riding his Harley. Remember him riding his Harley into County Stadium?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, he was one of a kind. Just fluid. I mean, he was a leader of that team. Obviously, like you said, you had Molitor and you had Raleigh Fingers and Gorman Thomas and Sixto Lascano. I mean, that was Harvey's Wallbangers back in the early '80s and competing. For NL titles. They made it to the World Series in 82 and lost to the Cardinals in heartbreak fashion. I still felt like they didn't, but they should have won that series.
They should have, yeah.
But those were exciting. And Robin Yount, of course, Uke has a famous call of his 3,000th hit. I'll always remember, I think it was Teddy Higuera. Remember that no-hitter in Baltimore? Robin has that diving catch to save the no-hitter in the ninth inning That was just epic. And he was just those long strides and just, he was just a fantastic ball player. Really, really fortunate that we got to watch him play growing up.
Yeah, just a fantastic athlete. I mean, you look at some of these players coming in, these young players like Ella De La Cruz for Cincinnati. He's 19 years old playing for them. And, he's huge though. He's like 6'7", 6'8". But Molitor at that time, just, an all around athlete, just looked the part and just fluid. I mean, he was rocking Robin. He was one of the smoothest players that I can ever remember watching.
100% agree. And I was just thinking too, that there was a bunch of characters on that team. Remember Jim Gantner, his banter? Gumby always got the words wrong. Yeah. That's construction. He used to yell to the umpire, and he really meant obstruction.
Yep. They had Don Money.
Yeah, Sal Bando.
Cecil Cooper. Ben Ogilvy.
Yeah, there was another guy with a sweet swing, Ben Ogilvy.
Those are some great teams. Fun to watch. That's our time. That's our youth. And we were watching, actually not watching because I had to
Right.
listen because you couldn't get them
Right.
on TV. So when you got them on TV, it was something special. But that's where you grew up listening to Euchre and listening to classic baseball on the radio,
Absolutely.
which is something that I still sometimes I'll just go outside and listen to the game on the radio instead of watching it.
No,
on TV.
I do too. I love radio, both football and baseball. I mean, there's two excellent sports to just sit back and listen to. It's how like you said, it's how we grew up,
Right.
and it's enjoyable. Let your mind take over. And I mean, we're so fortunate with a great play-by-play and color analysis analyst that got them sounding like Jim Gantner already. Yeah, we've had some great radio guys, no doubt about it.
Right. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Joe, and you can correct me on this, I believe that Robin had one of the highest first ballot entries into the Hall of Fame. Did he
I believe
not?
you're correct, Tosh. I don't have the stats in front of me, but yes, he and absolutely should be well deserved. I mean, that guy was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
3,000 hits, MVP at two different positions. I mean, come on, that's a no-brainer.
I think there was a classic commercial about that with George
Yes,
Brett.
yes.
Yeah, just kind of came to me. I forgot about that.
And that was at a time too. The Brewers were in the American League back then, so Brett and Yount went up against each other. Quite often those series.
I still, the handlebar, I should say the Fu Manchu mustache, and just
mullet.
He was classic. Yeah, the mullet.
He still has
absolutely.
it.
Just.
Yeah,
he still has it. He still looks like you said, he still looks like he can play. So, the big thing in here is it's a shorter. It was when the Red Smith Banquet was more of just guys coming up and talking instead of being interviewed. So it's a shorter piece, but we think you're going to enjoy this, and hopefully, if you like this, you can continue to look at our throwbacks on YouTube, and if you like our podcast, you can continue to look at anywhere you get your podcast and hit subscribe. And continue to get our podcasts each week.
Absolutely, Tosh. We're on all the social sites. So just type in Newsa-Cast wherever you're at, whether it's a podcast, YouTube, wherever, and it'll pop up. And like Tosh said, we've done a dozen of these throwbacks now. This is the 12th one that we've put out. So we have a nice selection of some are longer, some are shorter. I mean, Bill Walton was 4 weeks ago, and I think Bill is still continuing to talk. But then you have Robin Yount and Gilbert Brown last week. They're a little bit shorter, but sweet and to the point, and it's great to see those guys again. That an interview that we haven't seen in 30 years. It's kind of cool to go sit back and listen to it again.
Red Smith Sports Awards Banquet Throwback.
The Red Smith Award, of course, goes to someone who has made some unique contributions to sport in Wisconsin, and also epitomizes the great values that Red Smith exhibited.
Let's give a Red Smith welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very happy to have the opportunity of coming back here to present the 1996 Red Smith Award to a great individual, a great ball player, and a great friend, Robin Yount.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Judge Gannon. But that was a second baseman and a right fielder. I was gonna end with this, but it's getting late, and I want to make sure some of the kids out there are still awake. They wanted me to say something to the kids out there that are benefiting from the banquet tonight. And I think if I have any regret in my career, Well, there'd be two of them. One of them being that we'd played in a few more World Series. But the second one would have been that I would have gone to college before I signed to play professional ball. And if I could emphasize anything to the young people out there, I think it would be to, especially I know this benefits the young athletes. This goes to the kids playing sports. I would just like to emphasize to them that they work as hard in the classroom as they do on the field. And I would really encourage them, especially in today's age of athletics in college being as good as they are, to go to college before you even think about any kind of professional career. There's a number of things that I wished I could have learned in college. I think I would have taken some sort of business class and learned how to manage my finances. I certainly would have taken an engineering class, and I would like to have understood better the way an IndyCar works. And I certainly would have taken a public speaking class so I'd be more comfortable up here. But anyhow, when they first called me and asked me to be a recipient of the Red Smith Award, I'll be perfectly honest, I wasn't real sure what the Red Smith Award was. But when I saw the list of past recipients, it became very clear to me that it was a great honor. I was in Appleton this summer, actually, for the first time, and it's changed a lot since I was here. Not really for the better, in my opinion. But actually, I've had a great time here the last two times, or this time and last time. Everyone's been very cordial, very hospitable here, and I know you're real close to Green Bay, and I know we all feel a little bummed out right now about what happened to, can I call them our Packers? I kind of feel a closeness to them, but you know, I can see a little bit of you know, the good teams we had in the late 70s and early 80s. I mean, we kind of moved one step at a time, getting closer and closer to finally making it to the World Series. And I can see that in the Packers right now. They're only a year away. I think they'll be there next year. I mean that honestly. You know, Randy's going to speak here a little bit later. We actually have something in common. Randy and I are both from the same part of the San Fernando Valley in L.A. And believe it or not, Randy and my brother-in-law, what did you played? You surfed together, or you played Little League together, or something like that? Yeah, so Randy and I, we go way back. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Heeman. I've known him on and off, met him a number of times throughout my career, and there is no doubt he is one nice guy. And I will like to also congratulate all the local recipients tonight, and just thank you all for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Newsa-Cast. We appreciate your support. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so and tell a friend. A huge thanks to Digstown for all the music in today's episode. Catch a gig or find them on Spotify. Northeastern Wisconsin Sports Advancement is a 501c3 organization. Our mission is to raise money, provide support, and create awareness for youth sports organizations in northeastern Wisconsin. We do this primarily through the Red Smith Sports Award Banquet and the Newsa-Cast. Each year, we give back to the community through 3 initiatives: the Every Kid Plays, the Gives Back Initiative, and scholarships to student athletes.